Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Today is November 4th, the day after our elections. And we don't know who our president is, but I know that I have a beautiful guest for you. We are in the UK today, and my guest is Sharon Rea. She is the founder of Our Hope, Their Future, international speaker, domestic violence interventionist, and I'm sure we might not have enough time for her to tell you the rest. But let's see how much we could get in 30 minutes. Sharon, welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Hi, Jenny. It's great to be here tonight. And yes, I'm also a total life change expert in that I work with people, body, mind, and spirit, or energy, or the unconscious mind, depending on whatever their beliefs are. Because you can't change one part without changing the entire person. And that's the way I look at it. So yeah, I live in Wales. I'm originally from Ireland, as you probably can guess from the accent. Moved here in 2002. Long corporate career. My own company brought me to Wales, and then circumstances made my life change and went on a totally different tack altogether. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been great.
I don't know if I've ever met anyone who's had a life that was just perfection all the way. And if there is such a person, please point me in their direction because I would love, love, love to have them on my show.
Basically, I know one person, and she has had, and she will tell you herself that she has had a life that has been blessed. But she will acknowledge it's because of the power of positivity of her thoughts that she uses, because she always believes that everything will be perfect. And I have a saying that dreams plus expectations equals reality. And that's the reality you want to create. So it's great having dreams. It's great having hopes for the future. But unless you expect something to happen, and unless you actively take steps for it to make it to happen, then it ain't going to happen. So that's what I do. And yes, Our Hope, Their Future is only one of the projects that I'm involved in. And that's a free point of entry service for critical care frontline workers to prevent them getting post-traumatic stress disorder after working with people with COVID-19. Because 70% of those medical personnel that have worked with COVID-infected patients are suffering signs of traumatic stress disorders. Can't say post yet, because we're still currently right in the center of this pandemic. And we're being hit by second and third waves all around the world. There's another project that I'm involved in. I had this mad, crazy idea way back in August that fear is touching every one of our lives. Because we're grieving for the normality that we had. We're grieving for the normality of being able to ring our friends and family up and say, right, let's meet in town. Especially I've got my eldest daughter, let's meet in town. We go shopping, we go for lunch, girly day out. Can't do that any longer. So people are grieving. They're fearful for their jobs. They're fearful for their houses. They're fearful for everything. And they're fearful for their future and their children's future. So I set up 3 empowerment days. One is for men, one is for women, and one is for the LGBTQ plus community. And they're called Fear It, Change It, Love It. The men's one is next week on Thursday the 12th. And basically it's looking at, I said, people then said to me, why are you doing 3 different days? I went, well, hang on a second. Men and women psychologically are two, let's acknowledge it here. They're two totally different sides of the coin. And those people that are within the LGBTQ plus communities have suffered a lot more in a lot more different ways because they're also lumbered with labels. And those labels come with fear as well because they fear the acceptance of being accepted. And then we have obviously the Men's Day, the Women's Day. So I then was put a proposition to 2 other equally crazy women called Natalie King and Elise Simon. Elise is in the United States and Natalie lives at the other side of the UK from me. She's originally South African. I'm originally Irish. So between us, we've got 5 different countries covered. And Elise was born and still is in the States. So those 2 ladies have joined me for those 3 days. And that's starting, next week. So people are kind of going, maybe. And then they're going, why are you charging for this? And I'm kind of going, would it be possible for you to walk into a store on Rodeo Drive in LA and walk out without purchasing a pair of Manila Blancs or Labutons, or, you just don't do things like that. You can, if you get something for free, you don't value it. Whereas if you have to pay for something, then you do value it. Plus, they're getting ebooks, workbooks. I've developed a method of changing fear, and changing it in a content-free way, so that I'm not taking people back into their fear. I'm actually, if you could, I'm just going to describe it in an easy way. It's from the time we're born, our values and beliefs are built one on top of the other. And if you tell a child they're naughty and use a certain tone of voice, they start to become afraid of that tone of voice. If you give them a slap in their hand, they then realize, oh, if I'm naughty, I'm going to get a slap in my hand. So therefore, they begin to fear that. Then it's a case of you get to school and your fear of not being involved with the cool kids, or getting bullied, and the fears just start to layer and layer and layer. And I'm not talking about the big fears of fight, flight, or freeze, where you need them to live. I'm talking about the layers, the little layers of fears that build up over the years. And they turn into what I would call a highway. So it's very easy for you to get on that highway in the morning and just drive. And you drive on that highway automatically to get to your destination. But there is certain pathways within our brain that if we use that continuously, it just becomes habit. And that's what a habit is. So if we look at the other way and say, right, okay, there might be another way to get to my destination, but it might involve doing a bit of road clearing along the way. So it's a case of we block off the highway, we clear the road. So we get rid of your fears, clear the road, and on that road, you can pick up the tools of courage, respect, trust, integrity. And it happens in an instant. And the way it happens is so powerful that I have actually seen people who are extremely energetically aware, and they're coming in and they're saying, I'm only doing this as a test because I know you need people to test it on. And I'm kind of going, yeah, sure, come on in. And at the end of it, they're actually laughing because as we're going through the process, you can actually see the fear lifting from them and their energy and their whole demeanor changes. And even though we're still not finished the process, they're laughing and the energy and the way they change is amazing. And then we have amazing keynote speakers because I could have gone away and got world famous keynote speakers in, but I wanted speakers in that are actually on the same journey as everybody else, that have to fight every day to face a fear, to just keep going. So these guys are really inspirational. And I've been really lucky that the LGBTQ one has an amazing woman called Taz Thornton. And she's just
Is
been
she
listening.
in the UK?
She's in the UK,
Okay.
but she's an international TEDx speaker. She's done that 3 times. She's just been given another award today. She's been listed in the top 50 coaches in the world, the top 50 self-help authors to read. She is an amazing woman, and she's
What did you
coming
say
along.
her name is?
Taz Thornton,
Okay.
and um, very easy tagline to remember her name. She's written a book called Unleash Your Awesome.
I've heard
And
that. I've heard of that book.
yeah, she's actually doing the LGBTQ plus one. Um, and yeah, I'm actually lucky that, yes, she's my coach because every expert needs a coach. But I also count her as a friend. And she is one of the most amazing women because she really, really wants people to succeed. And that's, she just gives of herself. But um, she then said to me, Sharon, what do you actually want to do? And I said, I want to create a tsunami of change. And she went, why a tsunami of change? I said, if someone says to you, there's a storm coming, you'll just go into your house, you close your windows, you close your doors, you cuddle up on the couch with a blanket and a Netflix box set and a box of chocolates or candy and, some nice munchies. But I said, if someone says a tsunami is coming, you stop, you look, and then you run. You take action. You actually take the action to change. And we are at the point in this world where we need to change. We need to change the way we look at things. We need to change the way we empower people to step into their power.
I
We
think
need,
the problem I've noticed with change, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'd like your perspective on this, is that people are very grounded in their beliefs. And even though they look around them and they realize that if you're locked into this little box of what you believe and you're seeing evidence of other things besides what's happening in the box, but they just refuse to acknowledge that and change. How are you finding changing some people?
okay, well, my perspective on that is I push boundaries.
I do
Um,
too.
change is hard. No one said change is easy.
But it's necessary for us to grow.
I mean, I was an unmarried mother in Catholic Ireland in 1992. I faced a lot of comments, such as, oh my God, she's clean. This is when she was 2 weeks old, in a brand new pram, brand new clothes. And I turned around and I said, did you really expect me to bring a new baby out dirty? I faced comments from extended family, like, at least when I've got my grandkids, I'll be able to shut the door on them at night. I have faced the stigma of being told that because I'm a single mother, she's never going to amount to anything. And everybody expected me to give up work and live on Social Security. I worked my way up the corporate ladder. My daughter is now the proud owner of 2 degrees, one in business and one in international law.
Oh, congratulations.
She has her own house. She presented me with 2 beautiful identical twin granddaughters a year ago. And she hasn't turned into a single mother that's sponging on benefits, because I have proved that you can change the mold. Stigma,
I love it.
I definitely battle every day. On the 9th of February 2004, I was diagnosed with advanced AIDS. I was, yes,
Wow.
I was told that then obviously the consultant that I'd seen the week before had said to me, look, he said, I don't think you have the disease because you don't have all the traits of it. Now, this followed a conversation with my own GP, or you would call him the primary care physician for yourself in the States, ringing me up and saying, right, Sharon, after looking at your blood work, you've got 2 choices. You've either got stage 4 leukemia or you've got HIV. Me, being the sarcastic biddy that I am, turned around and said, I don't like either of those 2 options. Can I have a third? And she said, no. And I said, right, out of those 2, which one is better? And she said, HIV. Because she said, if you've got stage 4 leukemia, there's no going back.
Right.
Because
right.
of the stage you're at. So I went and met an amazing doctor, and he said to me, I don't think you have it. Can you have the test done? Now, way back in 2004, you had to have counseling pre-test. I said, I can't do it today. I need to collect my 3.5-year-old from nursery. So can I come back tomorrow? Which I did. That was on a Friday. On the Monday, I went back and got the results. I was told I was positive. That was the 9th of February. At which point,
This year?
no, 2004.
2004.
At which point the man the counselor nurse that told me that I was positive said, look, the consultant wants to speak to you, but his kitchen is flooded and he's waiting for the plumber to come. I went, okay. So luckily enough, Yoga came in and he said, I'm not happy with some of your blood work, so I'm going to put you on a prophylaxis. So I said, fine, cool, great. And he turned around and he said, now I'm going to take some bloods out of you. Yeah, they don't tell you that.
Were you scared? Were you ever scared? Were you ever, because you have such a, like, everything kind of rolls off my back attitude. I don't know if it's because this is so many years later, but in that moment, how did you feel?
In that moment, it was relief that I knew what was wrong with me, because I was down to 4.5, 5 stone. So I was wearing 11 to 12-year-old kids' clothes, and I'm 5'8". So there's no way I should have been wearing that type of clothes. I was emaciated, constant diarrhea, constant other horrendous symptoms. I knew I was dying, but it was a case of, I don't know what I'm dying from. So I went back on the 22nd, I remember going home that night and looking at my 3.5-year-old in the bath and actually thinking, am I ever going to see you grow up? And looking at my 13-year-old or 12-year-old at the time thinking, am I ever going to see you grow up and graduate and have kids? My third daughter wasn't even thought of. I went back on the 26th of February and he said, well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. And I'm always the one that says, give me the bad news first. And he said, you're going on treatment and you're going on treatment today. I said, well, hang on a second now. All the information that I've read has said I've got a choice. He said, you don't have a choice. He said, you do not just have HIV, you have advanced AIDS. He said, if this treatment does not work, you will not see the year out. That treatment didn't work, and I started a second line treatment in the August. I'm here 16 years later, and the following year I gave birth to my youngest daughter. I then, when she was 10 months old, walked out on her dad. I'm not going into the details of what happened, but it was the worst case of domestic abuse the police had seen in South Wales.
Is that why you are a domestic violence interventionist?
That's why I developed a program, because nothing is working. And then I ended up marrying 6 years later. I mean, it's not as if I was, it's not as if I was on, in and out of relationships. It was a case of I was on my own relatively. And it turned out that he married me for a visa from the UK to get into the UK. And then we had, what was it then? But during that time, I discovered I was a medium, and I discovered that energy affected our thoughts. So then I got interested in hypnosis, NLP. So then I qualified as a master practitioner of hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy. And in the meantime, I'm a spiritual life coach, a highly attuned spiritual intuitive, a Reiki master practitioner teacher. And then I topped it all off and done the nutritionist end of things. So when I say I'm a total life change expert, I am a total life change expert. And yes, there has been times when I've been afraid. There has been times when I've been terrified. And there has been times when I've been terrified of change. And there has been times when I haven't wanted to. I've always wanted to create change. I've always wanted to change things for the better, but I've never been able to think about doing it until my kids were old enough for me to say, right, I'm doing this. Is it okay with you guys? Because if I start talking about what I have and what I've been through, I do not want the stigma and shame to attack you guys. And do you know what they turned around, especially the youngest, turned around and said to me? She goes, Mom, she said, if you help one person to stay alive after what you've been through, I don't mind. So that's, so then, yeah, I'm not just,
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking so many people I've met along the way who are passionate about helping other people. A lot of them are coming from their own trauma and not wanting another person to suffer the way they did, which I think is the most beautiful, unselfish gift that we can give to another person, because we live in a very judgmental world. But clearly, I don't care about people's judgments, because if I did, I wouldn't bring some of the people that I bring on my show. I mean, I had someone that said to me last night, I am so proud of you that you are just opening up the airways with life, and you're not just focusing on safe people or safe topics. And I'm not implying that anybody's unsafe, but some of what people share sometimes I know that I am judged for, but I don't care, because I don't want to hurt anybody. It's never my intention to hurt anyone or to do anything outside of what is considered the norm. But what is the norm? The universe is showing us that there's no norm. Look at how we're living now.
I mean, my autistic daughter, who was 21 yesterday, turned around when she was a little bit younger and said to me, Mom, why am I not normal? And I turned around and said to her, I said, who said I'm normal? I said, there is no normal. I said, normal is a definition that was written in a dictionary by some man at some point. Now, I'm using man, it could have been woman. It doesn't have to be a man. I'm just using man as the generic term. But it's a case of, it's a definition that was written down because, again, people like to have little pigeonholes that they can put things in. They need to be able to make order out of chaos.
And not only that, they need the approval of whomever they consider to be important. And so they live these phony lives in these little boxes because on the outside, people looking in at them are going, oh, they're normal. They have a lot of money. They live in a white picket fenced house. But what goes on the inside, a lot of times does not even resemble what you see when you look at the outside. And I am not judging anyone. We all have our own journeys. We all need to do what we need to do. But when people say to me, why did you bring that person? Or why do you talk that person? Or why do you listen? I want to hear what everyone has to say.
The thing is, and sorry for interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
I was late diagnosed because at the time I was white, Irish, Catholic, married, had been married for a long time to the father of my second daughter. He was a regular blood donor, so his blood was constantly being tested. I had never slept with anybody from sub-Saharan Africa. So basically, because I didn't fit any of those tick boxes, they didn't look for an illness like that. They diagnosed me with everything from possible lymphoma to possible bowel cancer to celiac disease and everything in between. But they did not look because I did not fit the box.
You didn't fit the profile.
I didn't fit the box.
Let me ask you this, if I'm allowed to, because I know you told us you had AIDS. And it's not polite to ask a person, how did you get it? But I get the impression you're alluding to how you got it. So anyone watching this show, if you feel comfortable, tell us how you got it.
Basically, from what we can figure out, it was a blood transfusion in Ireland, pre-testing times, because they've done the trace back and everybody was clear.
Oh no.
However, when my mom went to find my medical records, they couldn't find them in the hospital. But that's a story for another day, because initially I couldn't tell my family because I brought the conversation up with my dad.
There's a stigma around that. And people always think if someone has AIDS, they were promiscuous. And I'm glad I asked you this question.
Oh, no. I'll give you an even better one. I was having my gallbladder out. Quite a common operation for some people. And I'm waiting for the anesthetist to come up to do the pre-op checks. He never arrives up. So I go down to theatre and I'm in the anteroom going into theatre. And the anesthetist says to me, he says, where can I find a working vein after all the drugs you took to get your HIV? And
no.
Yes, he did. So I turned around and I said
What
to him,
did you say?
I said, excuse me? I said, yes, I smoke. No, I don't drink. I have never touched drugs of any type, except drugs that are keeping me alive. Now, how the heck did you figure out that I was taking drugs? Oh, we were talking about you beforehand. I said, well, perhaps if you had read my file correctly, I said, or read, because anybody with HIV in the United Kingdom, their file is sealed. So they've no access to doctors or anything. So I said, if you had access to my correct file, you would have known that we don't know where I got it from, but it is supposed that it is from this operation where I had a massive hemorrhage and I needed blood products and I needed a blood transfusion. However, I said, only for the fact that I desperately need this operation, I will be getting off this trolley and leaving. And because I had the privilege of being left to last in the day to prevent transmission of my illness to anybody else that might come after me on the list, I ended up getting MRSA. It has now been proven that anybody with an undetectable viral load, which mine was, is incapable of passing HIV on. It is not possible to pass it on once it's under control. So he insulted me. I
responded in kind.
Oh yeah, I responded by leaving the hospital and putting in a huge complaint.
That is so inappropriate. In the US, you would get sued for that, right? Thank God you don't live in a litigious country.
Believe me, if I lived in a litigious country, yeah, he would have been sued.
That is so terrible. You know, we are out of time. Can you believe it? Where does the time go when I'm interviewing fascinating people? And I love to do interviews with people like you because I try to bring the real life. You know, life is not all the fluffy, wonderful things. Life has difficulties. And when people like you are willing to step up to the plate and share your story, my hope for providing this platform is to change someone's life, someone who may be suffering. When they hear you, then they can be encouraged, like this person has also gone through something similar and is willing to tell the world about it. And that gives them the courage to seek help and open up about what they're struggling with. Because I don't know about you, but when I have something bottled up, it drives me nuts. Once I let it out, I feel a lot better.
I'm one of these people that I tend to keep it inside. But then it's like a bottle of soda and you just shake it and shake it and shake it and then it goes boom. So when that happens, I tend to get in my car and go for a drive to stop it going boom, because words spoken in anger cause so much hurt.
And you can't take them back.
Yeah, words. The only thing I will say before you finish is words are the greatest weapon that we have. And words that are used carelessly inflict so much pain and damage on the people that are listening. And it takes two small words to knock a person right down to nothing. But it takes a whole suitcase full of positivity and positive words to bring them back.
Thank you for that, because I used to have this knee-jerk reaction when people hurt me of just spilling bile. But I must say I have grown up and I'm very careful now with what I say, and I refrain from knee-jerk reactions. We have to do another segment because we haven't scratched the surface with you, because I want you to tell us about, you know, all of your different causes, like your Foundation of Hope, and you can encourage a lot of people. So let's get another segment on my schedule.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, this evening, your evening, my morning, to do this. And I hope that Sharon has inspired you and touched you in some way. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn, when a conversation is all you need to be inspired. And I will see you soon.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.